Every marriage has 3 rings. The engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the bicker ring. We're here to settle the fights that don't matter and have no winner. It's the 3 Rings Podcast with another new argument.
Well, hello again. Welcome to another episode of the 3 Rings Podcast. My name is Phil.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are
married.
Yes, indeed. And this is episode number 52.
I feel like we should have that sound effect, that wah, 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 wah. Sound effect.
Yeah, that might be trademarked. I don't know if I can use that.
Will me doing it be enough?
That was enough.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, cool.
Yes,
yeah.
Very well done.
Thank you.
This is our 52nd episode, so that marks doing this for an entire year.
One whole year.
That's
all
crazy.
Of 2020.
Yeah, all of 2020 through all of the chaos and the pandemic and all of that crazy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. I think that's all there is to say.
But we made it for an entire year, and we've argued about all sorts of different things. And if this is your first time ever listening to this podcast, where you been?
You chose the wrong episode.
Yeah, where you been for a year? For starters, come on.
Because guess what? We're not arguing this episode. Maybe.
There might be some argument in this episode, but this...
I don't really know. I didn't prepare for this one.
Yeah, that's all right. So this week, since it is our 52nd episode and we've been doing this for an entire year, I thought it would be a good episode for us to really just talk about the podcast in general, as far as doing the podcast and everything that kind of goes into it.
Like a reflection episode.
Yeah, kind of, but not so much reflecting on like past episodes or anything like that, but just doing this as a whole. So
we're not doing a best of.
No.
Okay, good.
We're not.
I hate those.
No, there's not going to be any best of or.
We're not doing a super
like
cut of our funniest moments.
No, because it would literally just be 5 minutes of you laughing at things. I'm gonna pull that from any episode.
We could have asked your dad. He has a lot of favorites.
That's true.
Top of the list is our "Would you be hollow boned?"
Yes.
About the "Would you rather?"
Yeah, he did like that one.
He did like that one.
But I figured, we would talk about some of our favorite things, some of our least favorite things, what our plan is heading into the second year of the podcast and essentially 2021 at this point. So I guess we'll start off on kind of the happier note of things. And I want to know, what is one of, or if you have multiple, your favorite parts of the podcast?
I feel like my favorite part is, I guess I have a couple. So the first being, it's been a fun way to learn more about you. I feel like we've had that's been we've talked about things that I don't think we would have otherwise have discussed if it weren't for the podcast.
Yeah.
And so that's been cool. And then 2, I think we have gotten messages from people online who were this is so funny. I love listening with my spouse and talking to them about the different subjects, and that's been really fun to see. I love that we're kind of sparking conversation in other people's marriages. So I think those are probably my 2 favorite parts.
Okay.
What about yours?
I kind of agree with that. I mean, it's something that we get to do, every week, and it's extra time that we get to spend together. And even though we're arguing about things, none of the things that we ever argue about are going to be we're not so dead set where it's gonna impact the rest of the day.
No, literally every time we exit the studio and go, "What do you want to do for dinner?" That's literally we totally leave it all here.
Yeah,
and we're never mad at each other. I don't think we've ever come across as angry at each other on the podcast.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, it is about the disagreement, and there's plenty of topics that we talk about where we're picking from a wide spectrum of things. So I mean, even last week when we were talking about what's the best album of all time, so many people have different opinions on that. So it's getting to know us a little bit and us arguing our point, but it also is more so like, we want you to interact. We want to hear from you. We want to know like, okay, who won, out of these two, like, which is your favorite out of this, but tell us what, you think, so I mean, I do like that, but I mean, that to me is just like, that's just kind of radio in general.
Yeah.
So like, that's just, this is also radio related that, that just kind of comes natural to me. But, I like that it's extra time that we spend together doing something that is radio related, which is how we met. So
yeah. And it's like something like, it's not just us like on our phones or us like sitting in front of the TV. Like, it's actual like, there's no distractions. Like, we get to talk to each other without like worrying about anything else other than just like having a goofy conversation. So like, I think that like, I don't really think that a lot of people take time to talk to each other in that way anymore. You know what I mean? A lot of conversations happen in front of a TV or happen while you're fiddling on your phone or I think that this has been nice. There's no like, there aren't any other people in the room. I love our dog, but our dog's not here to like distract us. It's like literally just you and I that like, we just get to talk to each other for an hour and that's it.
Yeah. And that part of it is nice.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I would say that's probably my favorite part. All right. Well, we'll switch gears then.
Okay.
Going from
ready.
Favorite to what's your least favorite part of the podcast? Which I'm like curious how you go with this. Like, I'll start. I'll give you some time to
well,
think,
I think I have an answer.
Okay.
There's some weeks where like the response just isn't what you hope it would be, and like you said, like the engagement is like part of what makes this fun. Like, it's fun for you and I to have the conversation like in the moment, but like afterwards, like when, because I mean this is a lot of work. Like, it's a lot of work. Like, and I mean, I know that there are people with podcasts who make that their entire job is just podcasting, and like certainly we're not at that level of involvement, but I definitely see how that could be a thing where your job is just creating a podcast. So like, when you are doing all of this work and then you release something and it just doesn't quite land the way that you had hoped, it is like a little bit of a disappointment, but I think that that's probably my least favorite thing. Yeah.
And I'm just hearing you say that, like, I do kind of agree with that, but I don't know. For me, like, I'm used to that feeling, though, because
like in radio, the moment, like, you don't get feedback when you're on the radio, unless you have, like, a call-in show.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's partially that, but also, like, being in the position that I'm in, you want immediate feedback, because, we live in a time where, that instant gratification is a huge thing, and so you do want that because it's just been embedded into our brains. But you also, like, the more you're around having to deal with engagement and feedback and everything like that, you realize that it takes time. It takes a lot of time, and radio is something that has really taught me that, where it's like, you can start something, but you're not going to see results right away. Yeah. And it's going to take time before you see anything. I mean, you're like, realistically, for some things, I mean, you're looking at 3, 6, sometimes a full year. I mean, it takes months to do things like that. So I mean, I definitely get, like,
what did you say your least favorite part was?
My least favorite thing is actually, like, honestly, it's coming up with the topics.
Oh. That makes sense. You do primarily all of the topic, like, generating.
I mean, a good amount of it. And, you don't just sit back and not do any of it. But, I feel like, the different arguments or disagreements that we have aren't typically things that can be put into a full podcast. So yeah. So a lot of times we'll do those topics where it's like, would you rather, or like a this or that, like kind of a thing, just because those can fill sometimes. But like some disagreements or arguments that you have, you just like you can't make really an episode about it. So it's difficult to come up with more topics on top of like trying to sift through some of those, and it's even harder to find things that we don't like that we disagree on. We tend to agree on a lot of things, which I think is part of the reason why we're so compatible, for starters. But so when you're having a weekly conversation about here's what we're fighting about, but we're not fighting about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it feels like a stretch coming up with topics that are not only going to be entertaining, but also that we don't necessarily see eye to eye on, and we can also have a full-on conversation where it's still going to be entertaining.
Right.
Like we wouldn't be able to do a full episode on
loading the dishwasher.
Yeah. It's like
which is something that we argue about.
It's something that we argue about, but that's like what you take 2-3 minutes at most. It's like
I don't know. I guess it depends on your ability to like improv, but
but also at the same time, it's like think of it this way: like if you're standing in a room and two people start arguing about something where they're like just like going back and forth, yelling at each other, there's
a difference between arguing or like bickering and fighting, and like
but it's still awkward. So you have to take
we got to kind of make it like not too real.
You have to take that that idea and break it down into something that's also entertaining, that people are going to be like, oh yeah, like I'm engaged.
Which I do think that this has been like an interesting like thought exercise in that way, is like either like taking something that you like at first, like there have been topics, like I think the one that sticks out for me was the one where I talked about Wonder Woman. It was like, what's your favorite superhero, I think was the episode. Whereas like going into it, I was just like I don't care about superheroes, like I just don't give a shit. But then like as I was researching it more and like looking into it more, I was like, oh no, like I care about this, like you know what I mean. It was like when you get down to it, it's like, oh no, I will fight with you about this. Like it's funny, like I think you have to have the right drive to win in order to make this like what it needs to be, and I think that's like you have to like, I think that isn't always so easy to like just bring up at like will, you know what I mean? There are some days where you're just like, I don't really feel like I don't care enough to argue about this. I don't I don't care about it. Whereas like other days it's like if you're feeling feisty and you're like, I'm gonna win this just to win this, and like I don't really give a shit, like that is the difference. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense though. If you don't have a horse in the race, like why are you gonna fight
but
it?
Sometimes you're having to like fabricate the horse. Sometimes you're having to build the horse out of straw and
it's
like
an imaginary horse.
And send it out there. But by golly, if you don't want that imaginary horse to win,
sometimes it will.
Sometimes.
But that's kind of my least favorite part of it. Is,
that makes sense. It's work. It's hard. It is hard sometimes.
Well, I mean, like I said, this is now 52 episodes. That's 52. Well, essentially 51. We're not really arguing about anything on this one, but 51 different arguments, and at some point you run out of things to argue about. So
what do you think listeners of the podcast would be like surprised to find out about us or the podcast?
Fuck, I have no idea.
Like, what? Do you think that there's like, do you think that we accurately portray ourselves on the podcast?
I think so.
I mean, I guess the only thing that I think we sound more talkative than we actually are.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a podcast. It's essentially talk radio. So you do have to talk. But I mean,
I don't think either of us are. Well, maybe
we talk a lot at home to each other, and when we're having a conversation, it does sound like this. I mean, we are very much like we like to talk to each other.
I think we come
don't
across
like to
as
talk to
more
other people.
people than what
Well, again, like
we aren't people.
for anybody who's listening that is not aware of this is entertainment.
Yeah.
We are making a connection with you. That's the whole purpose of this. You are listening to be entertained. So, yes, we are going to be very talkative, and we are going to, kind of brighten things up a little bit. Like, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
So...
I think when I do talk to people, this is the way that I am.
Yeah.
I don't think
I'm
either
agreeing.
of us come across, like, any differently than we would if we were having a conversation with people that, like, in person, but...
Yeah.
Our desire and drive to have conversations with people is low.
Very low. But that's okay, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we just
found
like
each other and we're happy with that.
Yeah, we like to disconnect sometimes.
Yeah.
But, all right. I mean, all that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's probably bad that we spent more time talking about our least favorite things than our favorite things. But,
I don't know if I don't know. It's a good reflection.
I guess, yeah.
Did you have any other questions?
I guess the only place to go after that is just kind of talking about the plans for the future, for future episodes for 2021 as we wrap up, a full year.
Yeah.
So,
it's hard to say. I mean, like, it's so hard to imagine what this coming year is going to be like.
Yeah.
I said was it you or was I talking to our friend Claire when I was like, dare I make a 2021 vision board?
I think I was there, but I think you were talking to her. But yeah, your 2020 vision board just went up in flames.
Yeah. I think out of the... you know what? 2 out of the 5 things that I put on the vision board happened in 2020. We bought a car, and I hit my reading goal for the year.
There you go.
Those were my
40% for 2020 ain't bad.
Yeah, I feel like as far as this year goes, that's about all you can expect. I feel like that's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I mean, like, all things considered for you and I, like, this hasn't been a bad year. I mean, it sucks that we haven't been able to see people. And, and stuff like that. I mean, like,
I miss concerts. I miss our family.
Yeah,
I miss.
There's a lot of things that we miss.
We kind of like got shafted on as far as like 30th birthdays go, but
we did.
That is as far as like complaints to have. That is very, very, very minor. We are both incredibly lucky. We managed to get through this year, knock on wood, without any major illness, without losing our jobs, without losing close relatives. Like, we are...
Yeah.
I feel like we have a lot to be thankful for this year.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, so... I mean, I think heading into 2021, we're just hoping that things will get better. But, as far as everything goes for this and for the podcast, the plan is, we're going to keep all of this going, kind of what I mentioned with, one of my least favorite things with all of it, it's hard to come up with weekly topics. So, maybe things take a little bit of a shift somehow, or it might be the same template for the whole year. It's right now it's just difficult to tell. But
if there's like something, if there would be, for those of you out there who are listening, if there's something that you would like to hear us talk about, even if it's not like a disagreement, if there's like a question that you have, or I don't know, we're happy to give advice about non-serious things.
Yeah.
We'll give minor advice. We don't want to do like couples counseling, but like
we say that a lot. Where
we could give advice about minor things.
Yeah, we're not here to talk about big ticket items or anything.
No.
Be like, we don't want my wife and I get divorced. Like,
no, we're not. No infidelity, no breakups, no divorces, no major decisions about child rearing.
Yeah, none of those things.
But like
goofy shit.
He won't load the dishwasher. I don't know why this is not even a beef that I have with you right now, but like,
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I load the dishwasher. Maybe I don't like the way I load the dishwasher.
I don't like the way you load the dishwasher.
I don't like the way I load the dishwasher either, but I can't make it make sense in my brain. But
you need to play Tetris more.
I don't want to.
But it would help.
I don't want to.
But it would seriously help.
Oh my God, Phil, I don't want to play Tetris.
Okay.
I guess this is our podcast episode for next week. Is should learn
You should play Tetris. Does Tetris help loading the dishwasher? I will. But
if he won't load the dishwasher the right way, and I keep asking him to. How do I get him to load it the right way? Phil's answer would be make him play Tetris. But if you want
I played a lot of Tetris. You've seen me like load the car. You've seen me.
You
like,
have good like spatial awareness.
Because
though.
I played Tetris.
I don't think it has as much to do with Tetris as you think it does.
It's seeing shapes and seeing how they fit.
But it's also I don't know. I don't want to. I don't have good depth perception. I don't like this. Why do you think I like fall all the time?
Because you're always in a rush.
No, it's because I've got shitty depth perception.
Well, let's play Tetris.
I don't want to play Tetris. I don't want to. I'm not playing Tetris. And the more you ask me, the more I'm not going to do it. So,
wow.
That's where we're at today. I'm crabby.
Fuck me for trying to help. Jesus.
But yeah, if you want to send us a minor issue like that, we'd love to help out with that, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than willing to deal with minor inconveniences in life. I can answer those questions pretty easily.
I think that's all we've got for this 1 year.
I mean, that's
celebration.
all. That's all I had down on my list. Unless there's anything that you want to add to the conversation of
what more is there to add?
I don't know.
You can find us at 3 Rings Pod, THREE Rings Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please rate and review us and share us with your friends wherever you listen to podcasts. We would love a 5-star review.
Do that.
Please. We will see you all next week.
Yes. No idea what we're going to talk about.
Adios.
Thanks for listening to another weekly episode of the 3 Rings Podcast. We'll be back next week with another new argument. In the meantime, follow us on all social media platforms at 3 Rings Pod. Join in the argument and tell us who's right, who's wrong, or why you have the right answer. Whatever. Just tell us stuff.